y'all, I'm Mitch Lawrence.
And I'm his wife, Leah Lawrence.
And you are listening to the first swap episode of the Southern Spirits podcast, where I regale my wife with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
Oh, wow. I can't believe we're doing that.
Woo!
So what are we drinking this week, Leah?
All right, for our beer, we are going to be having Cave City Lager, and it's brewed and canned by the Old Black Bear Brewing Company, LLC, in Madison, Alabama.
Hey.
It's 5.2 alcohol by volume, so let's read the can.
Oh.
It is a German Dunkel-inspired American amber lager with a signature hop aroma. The complex combination of noble hops and Munich malts enable our lager to be paired with a wide variety of food items, and its clean lager finish really hits the spot on those hot summer days. I mean, it's a beer.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I mean, it's not okay. Bad. It's malty. It's a lager. It's standard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've got a friend that's in a restaurant and they want to be fancy and order a craft beer, but all they ever drink is Bud Light, this is it. This is the one that
Bud Light.
This is the fancy Bud Light that they will enjoy and feel fancy, but like, you know.
Well, let's tell them what Old Black Bear is first. It's like a little restaurant / distillery in Madison.
And brewery,
yeah.
They distill their own spirits too.
I think they only do this one beer.
I thought they had more beers. I don't know.
But we've been there to eat brunch before.
Great brunch.
They have great brunch, and they make mimosas, but not with champagne. They make it with the vodka that they distill in-house.
Oh, girl.
And they are so good.
And it's like $9 for a bottomless mimosa, and you will get white girl wasted.
Because you're drinking vodka mimosas.
Like, they're real good, and they come with, like, you can get, like, flavored ones. They'll put, like, blackberry in your mimosa. That's a nice place.
Yes.
The burgers are expensive, but it's still a nice place. Would recommend.
It is. I love going there, but the beer leaves something to be desired.
Brunch is 10 out of 10. This beer is like a 5.5 out of 10. Like, it's serviceable, it's good, but it's a standard kind of nothing special. But I mean, also nothing bad. I can drink that, not a problem. Mitch said before, it's definitely something you want to drink cold, because if you let it get warm, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But any kind of lager like that is, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the Cave City Lager.
And we are a little partisan because we don't really like lagers.
No, I'm more of an ale fan. Mitch likes IPAs. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not something that blows my skirt up. All right, so for our liquor tonight, we're going to be drinking Bird Dog Strawberry Flavored Whiskey, and that is bottled for Western Spirits by Three Springs Bottling Company in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It is 40% alcohol by volume. And there is nothing written on the bottle, so let's read the online description. Perfect for sipping, shots, or mixology. Bird Dog Strawberry Whiskey blooms with a light, sweet strawberry flavor throughout. It's real sweet, it's real smooth, it's real dangerous.
Yes, it's better than I thought it would be, because it looks like you're about to be the trashy people sipping on shit whiskey.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel a little trashy drinking it, but like in a good way. You know what I mean? Like,
it looks like
it does. It looks like you're about
worth
to.
$3.
Yeah, but it's not. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's
very good whiskey.
It's smooth. This was actually a present from Amberly and Leah. They went on a trip and brought us back some booze, which we very much appreciate. Thanks, y'all.
Very much. Thank you.
So like I said, I feel a little trashy drinking it, but it's a good trashy, and I enjoy it. So it gets an 8 out of 10 on ice from me. It's real smooth. It goes down easy.
Doesn't have much whiskey taste. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's like I compared the taste just on ice to Strawberry Toast Crunch, which is a varietal of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, just so y'all know.
Oh my God, it's a varietal.
It is a varietal. This is definitely, like, you could taste that it's just strawberry flavoring. There's nothing natural strawberry about this.
You're so bougie with your General Mills.
I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Anyway, it's also a 10 out of 10 in the cocktail, because I looked on Bird Dog's website, because I didn't know what you would put strawberry whiskey in because that's something that's it's just weird.
Yeah.
And they actually have a whole list of recipes that we should probably try because they all looked good. But this is what we had the ingredients for because we're poor and cheap.
We're reusing Country Time.
We are. So we mixed it with Country Time lemonade just like they said to, and they were not wrong. That shit's delicious. 10
Very
out of
good.
10 for strawberry whiskey lemonade. If you like strawberry lemonade, it's exactly what it tastes like.
There's no whiskey taste in this at all. Just by itself on ice, there's no whiskey taste.
No, it's dangerous and sweet. Anyway, so that gives me a 9 out of 10 overall. Would recommend. And it's even better because it was a present. So, huzzah!
Yeah, I'm so happy with that present. It's very good.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amber and Leah.
So, Mitchell?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a weird place name for us?
I do.
Let's hear it.
About it. We're going to talk about OK, Arkansas. You never heard of OK?
No, I have not.
It's OKAY. It's the full word.
Oh, I was thinking like it's short for like Oklahoma, Arkansas or something.
No,
okay.
OK, Arkansas. All this information is from, I literally went to this website, the Encyclopedia of Arkansas. That's a thing.
I've actually been on that website before.
Yeah. There's a lot of good information.
There is.
This town is an unincorporated community in Howard County, Arkansas. It was named for a company that came in the early... I want to say early 1920s. They opened a branch plant in there in the late 20s. It was the OK with the O
branch
and the K.
Plant of what?
Brand Cement. That's what they did. It was a cement plant. They were based in Denver, Colorado, but they opened a branch in this location in the late 20s, is what this says. And the plant began production of their cement on October 2nd, 1929. That was less than a month before the stock market crash.
Oh, shit. That's not a good thing.
It wasn't. Well, while the plant was being built, they kind of formed a community right there around it, and that's what happened. About 40 homes went up, and as time passed, they added social amenities like a basketball court, and they even built a baseball diamond where the town baseball team played, and they were called the OK Cementers. I thought that was really fun.
Okay, but like... just not even the town, but going back to the company name, who like just picks we're okay?
I don't know. I
like it's not the great cement, it's not the fabulous cement, it's not the best cement ever.
I didn't see if they were initials for something. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
All right.
But the plant was being put there because that was right at the big time that westward expansion was becoming a thing, especially with railroads and bridges. So that's why they put a plant there. Excuse me. The town never had more than 150 citizens in it, ever. By 1977, only 2 people lived in OK.
Aww.
And by 1998, it was basically deserted. I couldn't find any information if anybody lives there now.
So this is a town that's not even a town anymore?
I think it's still there.
I feel gypped, Mitchell.
Nobody's living there from what I can tell.
All right.
But it's there. But that's our funny place name we heard about.
Do they still have
Arkansas.
the diamond?
I mean, I'm sure it's grown over by now, but you could probably go find it.
Well, that was a depressing little funny town name.
I'm sorry.
I guess we're not going to get any postcards from OK.
I don't know. Probably not. But I mean, they had a little store
Sad day.
and everything there, and then everybody just kind of left.
Just a company town that folded. That's pretty common.
Well, the stock market crash didn't really affect it. They closed for a little while, but they opened back up and operated for a very long time. It was a commercial hub for a little while for that cement, but like I said, never more than 150 people lived there.
Because it was just OK cement. It wasn't great cement.
Nobody cared.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
I don't know. Well, let's get into our stories.
All right, let's hear it.
That's a good idea?
I do.
We're not going to have listener mail this week because this one will be a special that we drop on Wednesday. So, no listener mail. Wait for Sunday.
Ooh.
Sorry.
I think it just started raining.
It might be. Oh, yeah, it is. Y'all might hear the rain on the window outside.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. Deal with it. All right, we're going to hear 2 stories from my hometown of Montgomery, Alabama.
That's the capital of Alabama for those of y'all who don't know anything about Alabama.
Yeah, it sure is. And the first story is going to be real quick. not much to it. You might like it, though. The second story's pretty long.
Okay.
And very involved, so...
Well, let's jump into that
first one. Let's breeze through this first one. We're going to talk about a haunting that takes place on Maxwell Air Force Base.
Fun.
Which is a very important Air Force base in Alabama. In 1910, the Wright brothers established the first U.S. civilian flying school on this location.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Then during World War I, the Air Service established an aircraft and repair depot on that same land. Then in 1922, the Air Corps named the airfield after Second Lieutenant William C. Maxwell, who was a native of Natchez, Alabama, and he died in a plane crash in the Philippines in 1920. So that's where this got its name.
Well, that's a bummer for that guy.
Yep, Second Lieutenant William C. Maxwell, and that's when it became the Air Force Base. And by the 1920s, Montgomery had become an important link in what the website says is in the growing system of aerial mail service.
Ooh.
So I guess a lot of mail was coming through this. But
mail time.
Yeah, in the early 30s, the Army Air Corps Tactical School moved to this location, and that's pretty much when Maxwell started becoming its Air Force Base. Yeah. Montgomery became the country's intellectual center for air power education. That's what it says. It became the country's intellectual center for air power education. This is home to what's called Air University.
That doesn't sound great for,
It's basically
air education in the United States. I'm sorry,
Maxwell
y'all.
is pretty much an Air Force education hub.
Yeah.
And it's just where a whole lot of it's definitely not the Air Force Academy by any means.
No.
But there's a lot of air education that goes on there. A lot of flight education.
That's fun.
Yeah, and this is we're going to get into the haunting now. This is from the Ghosts of America website. This is describing the haunting of the academic circle on Maxwell. This is a quote. Some of the sightings have been of actual floating entities, while others are auditory in nature. Most notably, people have heard gasping sounds along with creaking, and sometimes even a voice that says, "Can you hear me?" Supposedly, these are attributed to pilots who had crashed and were fighting to get out of the wreckage, or even fighting for their last breath.
Crashed
End
where?
quote. I don't know. It really doesn't say. That's what I'm saying. This is a quick one. There's not much information about this.
That's crashed where?
But now we're going to talk about Building 1433 on Maxwell Air Force Base.
What's about Building 1433?
We're going to talk about it right now.
All right.
It's said that there's always an eerie presence felt.
Yeah.
Anytime you enter the building and just being inside of it, there's just always something weird feeling about it. It's starting to rain like a motherfucker out there, y'all.
I think we might have to paddle this house somewhere else.
No,
this is
fine.
awful.
Y'all can just enjoy the raindrops with us.
I was going to say, we might
it.
just stop and let this be ASMR. Like, just enjoy the rain.
Southern Swap, rain sounds. That's the title of the episode. Rain sounds. But another thing about Building 1433, people say that they see shadows just moving in the halls. They don't see anything necessarily there, but they do see shadows that are moving unexplained.
Like shadow people shadows?
Kind
or
of,
just
yeah.
like...
That's what it sounds like.
Because shadow peoples are scary as shit.
Yeah, not something on the walls is what it sounds like. It sounds like there's shadows moving throughout this building.
No ma'am.
There's always a burnt electrical smell that people have on the second floor, which, let's be honest, that's probably just bad wiring.
I was going to say, I think they should probably check the wiring.
Yeah, and this could go to that as well. There are also reports of electrical phenomena. Doesn't really go into detail on that. It just says electrical phenomena.
Does that mean like your battery drains on your phone
Probably.
and you can't?
That's what I think.
Standard.
But now we'll have our shot in the dark for this
oh shit! I wasn't prepared for that. All right.
Too fucking bad.
Let's go.
I want you to tell me what Building 1433 is used for, and what it's always been used for. It still is to this day.
Okay.
All right. A. Is it a repair facility / mechanic shop? Is it a dormitory? Or is it the communications hub of the entire Air Force Base?
Okay. Well, I don't think it would be mechanics because generally that's a one-floor operation. Mm-hmm. And you said there was a second floor.
That's what you think.
So it could be a dormitory or it could be a communications hub.
Mm-hmm. That's what you'd think.
Well, I think it would be really annoying to live with that smell if you were on the second floor living there. So I'm going with communications hub.
No, this is a dormitory.
Shit.
And it has always been used as a dormitory.
All right, well.
Yeah, now you get to take the first shot of this strawberry whiskey and see
Fuck.
how terrible it is. Let me get my phone ready so we can record them for the people.
For the people.
For the people.
It is fucking coming down out there.
You ready for me?
Yes.
I'm recording you. Look at you. I didn't get the bottle in there anyway. Uh-oh. This is the best face you've made. Did it have a whiskey taste on that?
It, tastes like strawberry rocket fuel.
Oh, nice. That's what I'm talking
Jesus.
about. All right. There goes that first shot. That was fun. Yeah. Well, like I said, this was a dormitory.
Oh.
And I saved one piece of the haunting, a couple little pieces, because it related to the dormitory part.
All right.
So the creepiest part of it to me was that there have been reports from lieutenants in the building where they would wake up with their beds just soaked in river water.
Gross.
Just
I think they
completely
pissed
soaked.
themselves.
That's what you'd think, but this is saying river water. So I'm just telling you what this is saying. The
Okay.
Alabama River's right there.
No,
by the
no,
Air
no,
Force
no, no,
Base,
no,
so
no.
It's not really close, but it's there.
This is either A, other lieutenants getting river water and tossing it on them because they think it's funny as hell, or B, it's the first guy pissed himself in the middle of the night and was like, oh, no, river
wait.
water.
This gets better. Oh,
All
there's
right.
some thunder too. This is going to be a nice
Atmospheric
yeah.
recording.
There's a lot of ambiance
We
in this
should
one.
probably just record that so I can fall asleep to our real rain sounds instead of the app that we use.
Yeah. Well, when they would wake up in that river water, it's reported that these ghosts were Confederate soldiers who drowned crossing the Alabama River to get into Montgomery. So they were Civil War era soldiers.
Wait, why were they trying to get into Montgomery? Weren't they already in there?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what
Because the
report
capital
is.
was there
Yeah.
eventually.
So, this is where it gets fun.
All right.
They tend to haunt mostly those from the North or West United States. Basically, they would terrorize
Yankees.
anyone that didn't have a Southern accent.
Yeah.
That's what has been said about
If you're a
these ghosts.
Yankee,
And I
they're
think it's
gonna piss
fucking
on you in
hilarious.
the middle of the
Yes,
night.
apparently, they piss river water. And they just, if you have a Southern accent, you never have a problem with these entities. That's what's
What
been
if you
said.
put on a Southern accent?
I mean, that's it. But there are also reports of people having horrifying nightmares in this building. But
Well, I
again,
do that
not
in every
much.
building,
Yeah.
so that's par for the course for
Again,
me.
this is a quick story. There's not much corroborating evidence. People don't really talk about it much, but this has been reported by a few different people.
Well, that's fun.
That's that first story. That's Maxwell Air Force Base for you.
Well, awesome. Your first story was lovely. You did a
Did you
great
like it?
job. Fantastic. Appreciate it.
Excellent.
Are you gonna story number 2 me?
Yeah. You just give me a minute because I'm going to build up to it a little bit.
Ooh.
We're going to go into story number 2, and this is a true crime story that, of course, will have happened in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, I'm going to preface this just to let y'all know where I got all this information.
Hold on. That whiskey shot just fucking hit me like goddamn bricks. Lots of bricks.
All right, well, I need you to pay attention to this because this is a fun, interesting story. I don't know if I should say fun.
If it's true crime, no. Fun's probably not the best descriptor
interesting,
for it.
very interesting.
Fascinating, sure. Fun, no.
We are going to talk about the Springford murders.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, again, I'm going to preface it real quick. Almost every bit of this information will come from a story that was run by Boulder Weekly in Colorado in 2015.
Why Colorado?
We'll get there.
'Kay.
You'll understand. They interviewed a man named Mark Pinsky, who was writing a book about this case at the time. Again, this was in 2015, and I can't find that book anywhere. I looked all over the internet. I can't find it.
Maybe he
at the
forgot to publish it.
That's what I'm saying. He had already written a true crime book before. This one was going to be called Murder and Madness in Montgomery, but I can't find it. If anyone knows that it's out there, let me know. Don't send it to me. I'm not going to read it. But it's interesting. And the way
least you're
that he
honest.
became part of this was his sister-in-law. Her name was Susan Wardell. She was a social worker and attorney. She was brought in by the defense in this case, much later on, as you'll see, to try to help them with the claims of the mental illness for the defendant, the man who committed these crimes. That's where he first heard about it, and he's the main source for most of this information.
Okay.
So they ran this story in 2015 because it was around the 10-year anniversary. On Thanksgiving Day, which was November 25th of 2004,
Okay.
28-year-old Brent Springford brutally murdered his mother Charlotte and father Brent Sr. with an axe handle and a knife.
Wait.
Yeah. He did not use an axe. He had an axe handle. He beat them to death with the axe handle.
Fuck.
Yes, that's where we're going.
That's...
So we're not going to talk too much about the actual crime because basically Brent eventually... what am I trying to say? Admitted it and pled guilty and didn't provide much in the story aspect of it. We're going to talk about everything that led up to this.
Okay.
Which is extremely interesting.
I'm down.
So first, let's learn about the Springfords. They were wealthy, described as philanthropic, progressive, and well-liked. They owned a large company around Montgomery. They were well known in the community, not only for the business, but for those philanthropy and progressive views. They were friends of Morris Dees in the 1970s, who was one of the founders of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Awesome.
Now, in Alabama in the 1970s, this was a very risky move.
Yeah.
You know, they owned this large business, but they were also progressive people and were on the side of this progressivism, which a lot of people in Alabama didn't like.
Especially in Montgomery with the old money.
Right. But that's really all there is to that. They were the type that they would have black tie gatherings at Christmas time, like they had all their wealthy friends around, and they would drink brandy and shit, you know, that sort of stuff.
Those people, yeah.
And you lived in Montgomery with me for a little while. If anyone knows the area, they lived in the historic Garden District of Montgomery.
Which part is that?
It's kind of in the Cloverdale area.
I was going to say, this sounds like fancy Cloverdale folk.
It's old money, very
like
big,
fancy
expensive
Cloverdale
homes. Their home
folk.
was a restored home from 1920s.
Okay.
From the 1920s. Basically a mansion, but not not a mansion, but
like a plantation house.
They were very
just
well
without the fields and shit.
Yeah. So now we're going to get to a shot in the dark.
Oh, God damn it, Mitchell.
We're going to talk about the company they own.
I was about to ask what kind of company they owned, and now I know.
They owned and operated a soda bottling company.
Okay.
I want you to tell me which soda. Was it A, Pepsi, B, Coca-Cola, or C, Crush?
Now, I know there is a Coca-Cola bottling plant there in Montgomery now.
I could have put that in to fool you.
Now, I don't know of any Pepsi being bottled around that area, but I could be wrong. And I've had a Crush, but that's not really a thing, but it might have been at the time. Well, shit.
I'll take the shot whether you get it right or not. How about that?
No, I'm taking the shot. We're not bullshitting this.
All right.
I'm going Coca-Cola.
It's Pepsi.
Shit.
They owned the Pepsi bottling company in Luverne, Alabama.
But
It's right by Montgomery.
I was going to say,
They
I
live
don't
in
know
Montgomery.
anything about Luverne.
It's right by it. It's close.
All right, here's my second shot, and I'm already kind of...
You want me to take one?
No.
I'll take one too, though.
Absolutely
I'll take
not.
one with you.
This is my burden to bear, my love.
Well, I'm not going to record this one. So, while you're doing that, I'll keep telling you the story because, like I said, this is going to be a while. This is a long story. Brent Jr., which for this story I will refer to Jr. as Brent. And when I talk about his father, I'll either say Senior or his father or something. But just so we're on the same page, Brent, the man who killed his parents, will be referred to as Brent. Take that shot. Yeah, nice. Brent attended a private school in Montgomery, Alabama. He attended the Montgomery Academy. Yes, I went to a different private school. He went to the Montgomery Academy, which is the hoity-toity one.
I was going to say, I know a lot of people that graduated from there.
I had a lot of good friends that went to MA.
That's fancy.
It is fancy. It's very fancy. Now, I went to a private school, too. It was also very expensive, but we were on financial aid as well.
There you go.
Yeah. He did very well in school. He was liked by all of his teachers, and he continued his education at Vanderbilt. He graduated and went on to Vanderbilt. Now, this says that he traveled in his youth to Latin American companies for service trips. I'm going to think that that's probably missionary trips.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's through their church,
Yeah,
like anything
most
else.
likely. When he was doing that, he traveled all across Latin America, and he became fluent in Spanish.
Fancy.
When he was doing this. Now, while he was at Vanderbilt, at about age 20, he got really interested in Eastern religions, primarily Buddhism. He was very interested in Buddhism. Now, this seemed to either create or foster some sort of existential crisis that was already going on within him.
I feel you, boo. I'm there with you, baby.
He wasn't really sure about it until it was kind of awakened or something, is what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a quote from Mark Pinsky. Quote,
who's Mark Pinsky?
The man who is the journalist writing the book.
Oh, the journalist that wrote the book that you can't find.
Right.
Gotcha.
He was writing the book.
I'm in it, yeah.
Here's a quote from him from that article here. For his parents, it was difficult because they didn't know whether the change in him was a normal result of the separation of a young man from his parents in the early 20s, that often happens, what was part of his sincere spiritual quest, or, and Brent didn't know this, but his mother did, there was a family history of bipolar disorder. So they couldn't separate those three strands. What was normal, what was a spiritual quest, and what was incipient bipolar disorder. End quote.
I'm going to go with bipolar, baby.
It might have been. It could have been a combination of all of them.
Yeah.
But, so this started happening, and he dropped out of Vanderbilt. He was just done like around maybe after his sophomore year. So after that time, his parents basically funded him for the rest of his life. He spent the next year traveling to monasteries all across America and Mexico.
What kind of monasteries?
Like Buddhist monasteries.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I've been to it like a Catholic monastery, but I didn't know they had like Buddhist monasteries here.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really say, but I would think he was very much into Buddhism, as we'll learn as we go.
That's fine.
I would think that, but he went to America and Mexico, just everywhere. Parents paid for all of it because they were hoping it would help him decompress, and he would eventually make his way back to Vanderbilt and finish out. Like, some people need a off year or something, what they call that, and it's most of the time rich kids.
I was going to say, only rich kids can afford a gap year. I'm sorry.
While he was doing this, he met quite a few people who studied at Oberlin College in Ohio, so he decided he wanted to go there and join the Buddhist Studies program.
Okay,
his parents said, great, go. We need you to do that. That sounds great. He stayed there for a week. He said, never mind, I'm sorry. So
mistake.
He went back on the road, and he kept going to all these monasteries. His parents really wanted him to just settle down and quote unquote, find a path. So they wanted that for him really bad, and he told him wanted to go ahead.
Buddhists have a sevenfold path, though?
I don't know anything about Buddhism.
Oh, okay.
But
that joke's not funny if you don't know about Buddhism.
Good one.
Sorry.
He told him he wanted to join the religious studies program at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Naropa is Naropa, so I guess that's how it's said.
Is that a real university or like a silly university?
No, it's real. Okay. It's real. They happily agreed, just the same they did at Oberlin. Go. We want you to go there. Just settle down and do that.
Damn, it must be nice to be white and rich.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh. All right.
Excuse me. While he was in Colorado, he had a female roommate. She remained anonymous for all this, but Mark Pinsky got some information from her in Boulder. Yeah. She described Brent as being altruistic. They got along great. Her father was sick, like deathly sick.
Yeah.
And Brent would go spend time with him and give the mother and the daughter a break and
respite care kind of stuff.
Yeah, he became really close with the dad especially, but the family overall.
That's really nice.
Brent's mother, Charlotte, took a trip out there to visit him at one point, and she saw him being like that, and it gave her a lot of hope. She was really happy that he was settling down, finding his calling. She thought that he was going to be some sort of a counselor or something. She thought it was great. Well, here's where the issue comes in.
Spoiler alert.
We're going to meet a lady named Carolyn Scout. Last name spelled Scoutt. She's 48 years old. She was 48 years old when they met.
Yeah.
Carolyn,
in 2004?
Yes. Well, no, they would have met around 2000.
Okay.
Let's say that. Yeah.
Cool.
Carolyn claimed to be the orphan child of one of the last Apache medicine women. Now, her mother doesn't enter this story at all. She lived with her grandmother growing up. But this is what Carolyn claimed. She was also a practicing shaman. She, according
For what
to this,
tribe?
Doesn't say.
Okay.
She, according to this, I'm sorry, I can't say this. According to this article, she gave what are called breathing sessions to many people around Boulder. I would imagine that it's some sort of meditation.
Yeah, you'd think.
This would be including that roommate's family. So this is most likely where Carolyn and Brent met.
Okay.
Jerry Armstrong is a man that's coming into the story now. He was the best friend of Brent Sr. and also a manager for him at Pepsi. He described her as a Navajo Indian witch doctor who played a very negative influence on Brent Jr.'s life. I know, right?
That Navajo witch doctor.
And here's a quote from him.
Y'all, that's not okay.
Here's a quote from Jerry. Quote, I don't know if coerced is the right word, but I think she had a lot of persuasions in what he did.
Yeah.
So apparently Carolyn started to take over for Brent. Yeah. After his first semester at Naropa, which would have been, looks like the spring of 99, so they must have met around 1999, Brent went to stay with Carolyn at a place she had in Newcastle, Wyoming.
Now, how old is this Carol lady?
She's 48.
And he's how old?
At this point, about 24.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Oh, yeah. It gets weirder. It gets a lot weirder.
I mean, keep going.
So when he went with her in that summer of 99, what basically happened was kind of a this for that thing. He would do chores and stuff around this property and the land and the house for lessons from her on Native American culture and traditions.
Okay.
Now, he was 24 years old at that time, but his parents were still funding all of this. He had to ask their permission to go stay with her in Wyoming, and they again were happily, not necessarily happily, but like, okay, go find your path and here's all this money that you get. So his parents went out during that summer to visit him in Newcastle. He had convinced them, hey, come out, see this land, and it's beautiful out here.
And this is Wyoming, you said?
Yes, Newcastle, Wyoming.
All right.
So Brent and Charlotte went out there, and this is where they say that they think they witnessed his first mental breakdown.
Okay.
Nothing crazy happened, but he wasn't acting like himself. He was drawing a lot of attention to himself. He was interrupting everyone, basically just speaking nonsense. Nothing he was saying was sticking with anybody. It didn't make any sense to anybody. So they became worried for him. They went home and told him, stay here, keep finding your path, right? Well, that's Christmas. He came back to Montgomery and went to one of his parents' black tie Christmas gatherings, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody's basically in suits and dresses and stuff.
Yeah.
He showed up with a freshly shaved head in a monk-like robe and spoke weirdly to everybody all night. Basically the same thing that happened in Newcastle. He was interrupting. He was talking just complete gibberish and nonsense.
Okay,
and his
at
parents
this
told
point...
him, they pulled him away and were like, you're embarrassing us, go upstairs, and he's 24.
Yeah.
Doing this.
But I mean, at this point, if she knows that there's a family history of bipolar disorder, she knows that something's wrong with her child, shaved his head, monk robes, a little weird for Montgomery, Alabama. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not dissing anybody's choices. The shaved head look is great. But I mean, it's a distinct break in his personality. Don't you think that's the point where we would say, okay,
and here's where
it's great that you're finding yourself and your path, but maybe we get you up with a psychiatrist.
Yeah. And they were thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Charlotte and Senior asked Carolyn to be Brent's caretaker and convince him to go see a therapist to seek mental help. By the time he had gone back after that Christmas, he had stopped communicating with them over the phone.
Yeah.
I just thought this was funny. He would fax them letters. That's how they communicated. He would fax his parents letters.
Who the fuck uses a fax machine?
And something they didn't know at the time.
Wait, did they have a fax machine?
Yeah, apparently. They got one in their house, probably.
All right. Fancy.
They were rich white people in the early
rich
2000s.
folk.
Yeah. This is something they didn't really know at the time, but as we go on, we'll see that this comes up. Charlotte discovered in November of 2004, she discovered this. So right before the murders happened, she had found out that Brent and Carolyn secretly got married in South Dakota.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they went to South Dakota. Charlotte suspected it and somehow searched through South Dakota records for a marriage license and found it. That Carolyn
She's
and
like
Brent got
20
married.
years older than him.
Yeah.
But I mean, marriage licenses are public records, so at that point in time, they would probably be published online. Mm-hmm. So, wow.
Yeah, but his mom was suspicious and she found out. And
holy fuck.
that's probably one of the factors that led to what's coming up in a little
Were
bit.
they having, like, did they notice a relationship? Was there a relationship?
Here's something very pertinent to that.
Okay, keep
Yep.
going.
This is a quote from that article regarding the marriage and relationship of the two. After all this happened, Carolyn told investigators she and Brent never had a sexual relationship.
Gross.
This kind of vulgar behavior was anti-ethical to the state of higher consciousness that Brent wanted to achieve and for which he saw Carolyn as his guide to. End quote.
So they weren't fucking.
No, she had 4 children and they were all, too old to have been his.
But I mean, like, she fucked previously.
Mm-hmm. But she wasn't fucking him.
Okay.
She was 100% using him for the money.
Oh, so
100%.
she just wanted to get married
She knew that
and
all that money
to
was
get
funneling from his parents.
him.
Absolutely.
She ain't saying she's a gold digger.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about her influence over him right now, and you'll see what was a lot of what was going on.
Okay.
She would, essentially beat him down mentally and emotionally. She would berate him in front of anyone and everyone, including her children, so her children didn't respect him at all. And he's technically their stepfather, but some of them are almost his age.
Awkward.
So, yeah. She would gaslight him a lot, like, you're making me do this because of your mental illness and all this. And
yeah.
he only finally went to a psychiatrist when she threatened to leave him in September of 2000.
She sounds like a cunt.
She was like, you're going to a psychiatrist or I'm leaving you.
Uh-huh.
And this is where, for the very first time, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Yeah,
in September of 2000.
Like we expected.
Mm-hmm. He started taking those medications, and he decided that it was too much. He could not go back to Naropa. He couldn't go back to school. He couldn't hold down a job. This is what he's telling his parents because of that mental illness. So they were sending him an allowance of $800 to $900 per month. They were also paying for his housing. They also paid for 2 cars he had and a credit card bill for him.
Wait. Why does he need 2 cars?
I would imagine that Carolyn's driving one and he's driving the other one.
Bullshit, bitch. Buy your own things, get your own shit.
The thing was, he didn't tell his parents, but he had a job working on oil rigs, and he didn't tell them so that money would keep funneling in. He was
That's a really stressful ass job. If you've got bipolar disorder that is not controlled yet, like, I mean, once you've got your bipolar disorder under control or medicated or whatever is cool with you and your therapist and all that stuff, fine, great, get a job. But oil rigs, you have to stay up late. It's incredibly stressful. So his bipolar is not controlled, it's not medicated, it's not regulated.
Well, he was taking medication.
Okay, fine.
But we'll get to
But he still sounds a little fucked up, and then he's got that on top of it. Plus, this bitchy ass lady that doesn't like him apparently and is clearly not fucking him.
Well, when you get a chance, anybody out there, I want you to look up, just Google Brent Springford and look at a picture of him. The man looks like, he looks creepy. He's scary. He's very scary.
What's his name?
Brent Springford.
Okay.
With that oil rig job, he was making about $30,000 a year.
That's
right?
It's not good, but it's not terrible.
Around that time, it was a good job, and they were still giving him all this money. They didn't know about that job, though. So Carolyn and her children moved to Boulder, Colorado, and left Brent in Wyoming to work on that job. He was still there in Wyoming.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah, he's fucking creepy, isn't he? Look at those eyeballs.
Those eyebrows. Shit. Nope, I'm out. Tapping out.
All right, close it.
Nope.
So Brent was sending Carolyn and those children all of his paychecks, as well as all of that money that was coming from his parents.
What?
He was sending all of it. Hold on. The Springfords even went so far as to buy a home and 7 acres for Brent and Carolyn in Colorado. That property was valued at $400,000.
Good Lord. Where are these people just throwing money at this child?
That's what's happening. They thought it would get him closer to better psychiatric care in Boulder, but what happened was Carolyn and the kids moved in there. Brent kept working in Wyoming and was sleeping in his truck. He stopped taking his medication and sent all that money to Carolyn. He kept doing the same
Christ, you can't do that, dude.
But the Springfords, Charlotte and Senior, kept sending money for improvements to the home, believing that Brent was living there. Anytime they wanted anything, he just called and asked, and they said, yeah, sure, here comes. And that's because they believed that Carolyn was acting as Brent's caretaker, that she was taking care of him. They showered her kids with gifts. They even paid college tuition for her older kids when they were old enough.
Okay, y'all.
They sent all this money.
That's insane. And how do these people have that much money? I mean, the Pepsi thing, I get it, but company.
They did very well.
Good for them, but...
And they both owned it. Like, they were both...
Yeah.
And part of it wasn't just him or her. They were both co-owners.
They're co-owners. I get it, but, that is... Y'all, I'm still in debt over college, and these people are just throwing...
You should have just gotten a Pepsi factory.
I know, right? Just throwing away this money.
Well, eventually Brent lost his job in Wyoming. He kept messing up on the oil rigs and stuff, and he got fired. But he then moved to Boulder into that house with Carolyn, and he got a job at the same oil company just there in Boulder somehow. Not really sure how, but he got a job with the same oil rig company.
That sounds like a bad idea, but all right.
So in this house, everybody had their own bedroom. So all 4 kids, Carolyn had her own bedroom, and Brent had built himself an 8 by 8 foot monk-like cell in the garage. That's where he lived. That's what he wanted, was like a Buddhist monk cell thing in the garage.
That seems excessive.
But when this happened, now, for a little while, you might think Carolyn's kind of the good guy, because she got him to go back to the psychiatrist when this was happening and taking the same medications. I don't think she's the good
guy at all.
Just hold on. Don't worry.
This is a gold-digging little bitch.
But she got him to go back to the psychiatrist and get the same medications he was on.
Fine.
He was doing better, but, he had good days and bad days like everybody. So at this point, I've only talked about 2 of them, but on 3 separate occasions, Brent has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
On 3 separate occasions in 2 different states, Wyoming and Colorado.
Yeah.
So that was how it was for a while, but Carolyn convinced him to see a doctor in Fort Collins, Colorado, that specialized in what they called nutrition and environmental medicine.
Oh, so it's a bullshit doctor.
Yeah, this doctor suggested Brent's issues were not caused by bipolar disorder, but were instead caused by heavy metals he had in his brain. Mainly mercury and lead, is what they said.
All right.
And this guy was also just bleeding money out of them as well. It was the Springfords found out he was working, so they stopped giving him that allowance, but they kept paying for everything else: the house, the cars, the credit cards, and all of his medical bills. But they stopped sending him $800 to $900 a month.
That's just okay.
Yeah. So these medical bills to this quote unquote nutrition doctor started adding up.
That's just,
he kept selling Brent supplements, like, from himself.
No.
Here, take this. This is how much it is. There were also, he charged them for many instances of Brent being hooked up to a machine that he told Brent was pulling those heavy metals out of his brain.
That's not how any of this works. Your kidneys do that shit. It's built in, motherfucker. It's built in.
The Springfords
Stop.
asked for an itemized bill of this treatment from this doctor, right?
Yeah.
All they received was a bill for $15,000. Didn't really have much going on to it. Just, you owe me $15,000.
That's not how itemization works, sir.
That's pretty much what happened. So Brent Sr., at this point, was so frustrated he would talk to his friends about it and told them he was pretty sure he was just being conned.
Yeah,
that
you
people
think?
were stealing money from him.
All this crazy bullshit. Okay, the family has a history of bipolar disorder. The child has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder by multiple psychiatrists in a couple different states. And then this motherfucker's like, metals.
Yep.
All right, okay, great. But you know what would help with that? medication for your bipolar
Well, at this
disorder.
point, you know that he's just in a haze, and Carolyn's doing all this shit to him, for him, whatever, you know.
I get it. And I mean,
Every
and
bit
a
of
lot
it.
of that time, like, if you have to be really dedicated with a very good mental health professional to take care of bipolar disorder and get it treated and properly assessed. It's a very difficult mental health disorder. I understand. I've got friends with it. I get it. But, like, go into this, like, natural bullshit doctor is very annoying to me.
Oh, yeah. Very big time. Absolutely. Yeah. And Brent Sr. told Brent that they were going to significantly scale back all that financial support. He said, we just can't pay for all this stuff anymore. It's not doing anything for you. And we feel like we're probably being taken advantage of.
Yeah, you think?
And then according to Brent, this isn't in record anywhere except from Brent Jr., his father also threatened to sell that home and all that land. So that was, from what everybody says,
it belonged to them. It was his.
Oh, yeah. But from what everybody says, this was probably the big tipping point, because that happened in November, and that's probably what made Brent go home. Brent also wasn't allowed to attend his sister's wedding in October of 2004.
Well, I didn't even know there was a sister.
Which she doesn't come much into the story itself. She wasn't murdered or anything, and
Yeah, I get it.
she's quoted in some of these articles later on about the distress and and she's so distraught about the whole thing, but honestly, that's not much to do with it. He wasn't allowed to go to that wedding in October.
Well, I wouldn't let him in my wedding either.
So, now further down the road, Brent's already in prison and everything. Carolyn can be heard in recorded phone conversations.
So now, after he's murdered their parents with
This is
an axe
This is
handle.
way down the road. This is just part of Carolyn's influence thing. Well, all phone conversations are recorded, and she can be heard in multiple conversations asking Brent if she'll get the inheritance money. It was supposed to be split 50-50 between him and his sister. So Carolyn's asking, well, is that money going to come to me since you're in prison?
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so at this point, Brent cut her off. He stopped talking to her after that. So that's farther down the road. But now, like I said, the crime itself doesn't have much to it, but now we'll talk about it in the detail that I can find. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Well, I mean, like, it's bad, I'm sure.
Well, what the story... like I said, all the information... Brent pleaded guilty, and all the information comes from him. So, there's not much to go on. He doesn't talk very much in detail about it, and you'll see why. He was mostly having mental splits at this point. So, this all started when Brent claimed that he met a man in Whole Foods in Boulder named Akasha. Right? He said that the spirit...
Wait.
He met a man in Whole Foods. It was a spirit that appeared to him in Whole Foods.
Stop.
Named Akasha.
Stop.
Now, for those who don't know...
You met a man in Whole Foods named Akasha.
I swear. For those who don't know, Akasha is a Sanskrit term for either space or ether. In Urdu Hindi, it can also mean sky, but we think that it's probably Sanskrit because of the Buddhism and everything. And so this is a demonic spirit, is how he described it.
He met a demon in Whole Foods.
Yep, that's what he said. And this demon, the spirit, told him, quote, something good would come from visiting his parents, and it was Akasha who said this trip should be made in secret by bus.
Now, what did Akasha mean?
Either space or ether is what it's Sanskrit for.
Space or ether.
Yes.
In the Whole Foods.
Yes, in the Whole Foods.
Now,
so,
Whole Foods has some delicious ready-made food. Like, was it at the sushi bar? Was it at the pasta bar?
Yes.
Was it at the macaron counter?
On Tuesday, November 23rd, 2004, Brent got on a bus in Fort Collins, Colorado, took that to Denver, and then he took a bus from Denver to Nashville. And then on Wednesday, November 24th, he took a bus from Nashville to Montgomery.
Now, why did he take a bus instead of just flying direct?
we're going to talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Not really in detail, but there's part of it. Again, Akasha told him the trip should be made in secret by bus.
Okay, fine. By bus.
Yeah.
Let the demon decide your travel
According
plans.
to the article, they have security cameras in all these bus terminals.
Yeah.
They saw him in all of these, and the last time that they saw him on one of those security cameras, he was, quote, running from the terminal in the direction of his house in Montgomery.
Ugh.
Like, it wasn't close to the bus station, but he was running in the direction that would get him to home,
Where's there a bus station in Montgomery?
I don't even know.
Right.
I think on, like, Southern Boulevard. I'm not sure. But, so... obviously, with everything that's happened, Brent wasn't expected home on Thanksgiving, So Brent Sr. and Charlotte...
right, because you said this happened on Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving.
Shit.
Brent Sr. and Charlotte had gone to Birmingham in their Jaguar to have lunch with Charlotte's family. Her family lived in Birmingham. So Brent got there, and the article says that he no longer had a key. Maybe they changed the locks. Maybe he just didn't have a key because it was his childhood home,
Yeah.
So what he did was he sat in the backyard for a while, kind of thinking. This is what Brent says. He just kind of sat there. And then he remembered that there was a window upstairs in the house that wasn't connected to the security system. So he climbed in through that window, and he just waited there for them.
Did they not have their windows locked?
I mean, it's an upstairs window that's not connected to the security system. He may have broken it.
All right.
I don't know. But Brent Sr. and Charlotte got home that day about 6 p.m., from what they say. And like I said, from here, there's not... It's kind of gray because Brent's
had some mental problems, and he was the only one there.
Sometimes he said that they had a conversation followed by a confrontation. Sometimes they didn't. He doesn't say.
He was not mentally healthy enough to really provide an accurate statement.
But he did say this. He thought that if he surprised them by coming home for Thanksgiving, it would convince them not to sell that home in Colorado and to not sever the ties that they had and everything. Well, from there, there's, like I said, not much. What happened was, whenever this occurred, Brent beat them almost to death with an axe handle.
Shit.
And they weren't quite dead, so he grabbed a knife and almost decapitated both of them.
Oh, no.
Now, he's got many confessions. He does. He has many confessions.
Oh, God.
And one of the quotes he said was, "I didn't want to hear them breathing anymore."
I can't.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Now.
Plus their baby hearts.
Well, they were old hearts.
Bless their not so baby hearts.
Now, the next day, November 26th, I guess, Black Friday, a man named Michael Shelton showed up at the Springford's home. He was working for Armstrong Construction that was owned by Jerry Armstrong, the friend of Brent Sr., who also worked at Pepsi. Well, he also had his own construction company. They were renovating their kitchen. So they had things like alarm codes, keys. Michael and two other men were coming every day and laying down tile for the kitchen. Well, that's what they'd come for that day, to put tile down in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They arrived to the house that day, and when they first walked in, they noticed that the alarm wasn't set, so they didn't have to deactivate the alarm. Their Jaguar was not in the garage. The house was in disarray. It wasn't like tumbled, like it looked like a robbery, but they could tell it wasn't right. The library was fucked up.
Wait, they had a library?
Yes, they had, like a study or something.
Hell yeah, they had a library.
So it just looked like there was a struggle in a lot of the rooms. There was nothing downstairs though, except for the rooms being moved around and stuff.
Yeah.
So he started walking upstairs, Michael Shelton did, and when he got to the very top, he saw dried blood on the floor. It was unmistakable. He saw that dried blood. He didn't go any further. He walked downstairs and he immediately called Jerry Armstrong. Jerry told them to leave and he's going to call the cops and race over there. So Jerry went over there, of course, beat the cops there. He was the first to see the bodies. Jerry Armstrong was. And this is a quote from Jerry. It was the worst day of my life, no doubt. It was a lot of blood, lots of blood, and it was in a couple different areas. It was pretty obvious that something really, really bad had happened, end quote.
Bless his heart.
No shit, Jerry.
Bless his heart.
Yeah.
He just wanted to tile their beautiful kitchen.
He did. And he didn't get to. Well, he might have afterwards, I don't know.
I don't know, but that's awful.
Couldn't tell you. Well, for about a month, Brent tried to maintain that he was innocent. He was immediately considered the primary suspect with everything that was happening by the police.
Shit.
You know? So he had gotten back to Colorado, and the police traveled out there.
So did anyone know he was there at any point?
No, nobody knew. He didn't tell anybody. He made the trip secret by bus.
Because that fucking demon told him to.
Akasha.
Can't trust those whole food demons.
Well, he went back to Colorado, and police from Montgomery went out to question them, and just interview. They questioned the entire family, and the whole family, all the kids, and Carolyn told the cops that Brent was there with them all week. Right after that interview with police, they'd left the home and had pretty much decided if he was here all week, he couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Right after that, Brent left the house and he checked himself into a behavioral clinic, and he gave an intake statement basically confessing.
Yeah.
He said, I think I may have killed my parents. I'm having visions of blood. This isn't a quote. I'm having visions of blood and gore, and I'm not sure, but I think I probably killed them.
Shit.
And eventually one of those older kids that was there took one of the detectives aside and say Brent wasn't here on Thanksgiving. He had left a couple days before. And
good for you, baby.
Got back eventually.
You tell the truth.
So the things that basically forced Brent to confess were he had purchased a mask and gloves that he took with him on the trip.
A mask of what?
Like a mask. He was like a ski mask, not like a fucking, not a Halloween mask, Leah. He had a Freddy Krueger mask.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but I thought when you said a mask, it was either like a Halloween scary mask or one of those like cute, pretty feathery masks for like a masquerade ball.
Yeah, it was a masquerade mask. It absolutely was. It had feathers and glitter on it.
Yeah.
God damn it, Leah. And these gloves were white, like Michael Jackson gloves.
No. They were like elbow-length Miss Piggy gloves. They were white satin.
He probably wore those things. There's no evidence to it. They never found them, from what I understand. But the only thing they found in the house that would have tied him to the crime was a single fingerprint on a wall upstairs.
But
and that was his childhood
used to
home.
live there.
Exactly. So they couldn't do anything with it. So they said the mask and gloves were pretty much a dead giveaway. He bought those right before he left on the trip.
So creepy.
He had also driven that Jaguar all the way to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he took that Jaguar, drove it from Montgomery to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then I guess got on a bus. Doesn't really say. I guess he got on a bus and went back to Colorado. So,
why would you ditch the... I mean, I get why you wouldn't want the Jaguar with you, but, like, wouldn't you just leave the fucking Jaguar and, like, take a bus somewhere?
Yeah. Well, while he was in that mental hospital, he stayed there for about a month. He called several different media outlets. He even appeared on air on WSFA via telephone.
What?
WSFA is the Montgomery affiliate of NBC.
Shit.
He apparently, I don't remember this, but he apparently appeared live on air claiming innocence and like help find people who did this to my parents. And
no, baby, it was you.
Eventually, the police arrested him at that psychiatric hospital, and they didn't take him to the county jail. They took him to the Louisville Police Department because it was late at night when they made the arrest. And
where's that?
It's in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they took him there because it would have been a lot quieter, and like I said, it was late at night. There weren't media there. They didn't know what was happening. They questioned him for like 6 hours, and he confessed pretty much the whole time, but they were worried that it wouldn't stick because it was late at night. He was under psychiatric care. He had been up for like 30 hours.
Well, then why didn't they let him sleep?
Well, anyway, it didn't matter. It turned out to not matter. He pleaded guilty to take the death penalty off the table, and on December 4th of 2008, took 4 years, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
So he's still in prison.
Well, October 8th of 2013, He was found unresponsive in his cell at Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer,
Lord.
Alabama. They thought that he probably just died, but the autopsy revealed that he purposefully overdosed on Tylenol. He killed himself with Tylenol.
How did he get that much Tylenol? Because it takes a hot minute of Tylenol.
You can buy Tylenol in the prison. I used to work in the store.
Oh, I didn't know you could.
Yeah, you can buy a bottle of Tylenol.
So he just took a whole bottle of Tylenol and killed himself.
What probably happened, because they don't, you don't get that many, he probably traded and got a whole bunch from a lot of different people.
I was going to say, because I know it does.
Takes a lot.
Takes a lot of Tylenol for that. I mean, and it will eventually shut down your liver and kill you.
Yeah.
But it does take, like, a lot of Tylenol for that to happen.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's the end of Brent Springford's story, but not the end of the story itself.
Oh, shit. What's happening, Mitch? What's happening?
This article, like I said, y'all can research this. Just type in Brent Springford Boulder Weekly.
His eyes are so scary.
At the end of this story, there was an addendum. This story was published in August of 2015, the one that I've gotten all this stuff from.
Yeah.
So, the story's done for a while before that, right?
Yeah.
Well, they put this addendum in. On June 24th, 2015, the body of 60-year-old Richard Campbell was found dead of a gunshot wound in his house about 10 miles from downtown Newcastle, Wyoming. The property where his body was found was owned by none other than Carolyn Scout. Isn't that fucking creepy?
Okay.
The body was found inside of a house, face up on his bed, with a gun lying on top of his body. Now, she's not believed to be a suspect, but this fucking bitch is weird.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't find any other information about this after this. I just thought it was fucking creepy. And they put that addendum in there.
And this hoe bag is still alive, running around doing who the fuck knows what.
As far as I know, she might be running a fucking cult now.
Carolyn?
If you're listening,
you need to calm
first of all, turn
down.
us off because you're not welcome.
Seriously. No spirits for you, ma'am.
Now, he was definitely mentally ill, but
obviously.
She obviously didn't help at all.
I was going to say, but it sounds like he had really loving, supportive, caring parents that wanted the best for him and wanted him to have real psychiatric care, and she just fucking, what a hoe bag. I mean, and he's a hoe bag too, don't get me wrong. He beat his parents to death, but like, I mean, that's a mental illness that like it's a very serious one, and
well, this story,
very upset.
I remember it. I thought I was a lot younger when this happened. I had to ask my mother what, the name of this because I didn't remember, but I remembered the case. And she told me, Brent Springford, and you can look it up. I thought that I was a lot younger. This happened when I was in 10th grade.
Damn it, Whole Foods.
It's probably, it's definitely Whole Foods' fault. It's the Olive Bar.
It's totally the Olive Bar.
100% the Olive Bar. It's that fault. That's fault.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a big thing when it happened in Montgomery because, like I said, these people were apparently socialites and.
See, and I've never heard of this in my life.
That's why I wanted to tell you this story for so long when we started doing this because I knew that you would be very interested in it, and I was so surprised you'd never heard of it.
See, because I'm from North Alabama, and I mean, most of the news that's big like that makes it up here. Mm-hmm. But that is not something that I ever remember hearing. And I mean,
it made national news. I'm not sure how much.
I was gonna say I'm a year behind Mitch in school, so
2.
I thought you graduated
07.
I graduated 08.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it is 1 year then.
Because you're a year behind because you're homeschooling.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a year behind you in school, so I'd probably been a freshman when all this happened, but
I was a sophomore.
Yeah, there's no way I would have missed that. That's
I just thought that I was a lot younger. I thought I remembered this happening when I was in like 6th grade, but I was wrong. It was 2004.
That's crazy.
And it rocked Montgomery for a while. Just mainly because of the brutality. It was apparently a very, very bloody scene. Like, the house was covered. I've forgotten a quote, actually, by...
Wait, who owns the house
the DA.
now?
I don't know that. I forgot to put in a quote by the DA who prosecuted him. She was also a family friend of Carolyn and not Carolyn, sorry, Charlotte and Brent Sr.
Bless their hearts.
But there was a quote in the article that she said it was the worst crime scene she's ever seen, and it wasn't because she knew the people. There was blood everywhere, like in every room in that house, apparently, except for apparently downstairs. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He
heartbreaking.
like went through the house beating them, apparently. And
they seem like such nice, sweet, supportive, like chill parents. Like if that child were mine, I would not have been as well. I don't have that kind of money, but still, like they just seem like people that like. I'm very drunk and I'm having a hard time processing this bullshit.
I know, I'm sorry. It's a very interesting case that I think a lot more could be out there on. Like, this doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
I looked on Wikipedia for Brent Springford, the Springford murders, anything I could find. Famous Montgomery homicides. Fucking nothing on Wikipedia. And I don't get it.
His eyes are so scary. Yeah. Go Google his eyes.
Don't Google Brent Springford's eyes, but Google Brent Springford. He is a creepy looking motherfucker.
Oh, bless it.
Yep.
And if we just had a little bit better mental health care in this country, y'all, we could stop shit like this.
That, or people who cared enough to actually see that it was happening.
But I mean, his parents did. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And then this crazy, what's her bucket Carolyn Scout out here in the middle of nowhere just decides that this is her sugar daddy, but...
Well, it's a common theory. I don't know that conspiracy theory is the right word, but it's a common thought that she may have put him up to it. You know, she may have been like, you don't, maybe not so much said go kill your parents, but do not let this money stop.
So she was the demon in the Whole Foods.
Yeah, she could have you know what it was? She wore the fucking masquerade mask into Whole Foods and at the Olive Bar was like, visit your parents.
Shit. Okay.
She was Akasha.
I'm uncomfortable, so that sounds like it's time for you to outro us, my love.
Well, I'm going to give a toast first.
Oh, you got a toast.
I do have a toast.
Hell yeah.
Are you going to do the outro or you want me to do the outro?
I'm
a little fucked up?
way too fucked up to do the outro, so
right,
let's
we'll
toast.
Do a toast first.
I don't have anything in my cup.
You can have this lemonade.
No, I've got this beer. We're good.
Okay. Well, everybody raise your glasses.
Woo!
Here comes my first toast.
Let's hear it, baby.
Here we go. Don't sleep in Maxwell's dorms, because you might wake up wet. Those Confederate soldiers gonna tell y'all to get. Brent Springford got confused, his issues untreated, but his geriatric wife kept his care impeded. Everybody drank. You didn't like it? You didn't like my toast?
You tried.
What's wrong with that? That was a good one.
It was good.
I liked my toast.
Your meter's a little off.
No, your meter's off. Fuck you.
My meter's always off, but I am very drunk. And it doesn't
count.
Are you
gonna? Mine was good. Like, I tried to give it the beats and everything. It's not iambic pentameter or anything, but it's pretty good.
Okay. I appreciate it. It was very good.
All right. Well, it's time for Leah to go to bed.
Yes, it is.
So, we want to thank y'all for listening to our very first swap episode.
Swap, swap, swap.
Where I get to be Leah.
Hey, I'm Leah.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Southern Spirits Podcast.
Please do.
Follow us on Twitter, where I am engaging, actually.
Because he is awesome.
At S Spirits Podcast. Send us some fun stuff to our P.O. Box at P.O. Box 1743. Excuse me, Hartselle, Alabama. That's HARTSELLE 35640.
Belch not included.
Belch might be included. I don't know. Is there something I'm forgetting?
Instagram's pretty rocking.
Yeah, Leah's
I've
doing
got
great
like
on the
1,000
Instagrams.
followers, and I'm pretty cool
She's
on
doing
there.
real good on the Instagrams. I've got like 60 Twitter followers.
Hey.
And they're mostly other podcasts.
They are definitely other podcasts, but you know what? We love podcasts.
We do.
So I'm game.
So send us some recommendations as well.
Yeah.
Stuff that we could listen to. But follow us on all of those different social medias. And y'all enjoy this mid-week episode. Say it, Leah.
No, you say it, Mitchell.
Fine, I'll say it.
Do it.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah, bye, y'all.